Hello and welcome to HD Movie Talk. I am your host, Dean's Beans, and as always, finally, after such a long break, I'm joined by my orange beanied friend. I don't know who I've been speaking to for the last couple of months, but it isn't this guy, Harlan Duffy, aka Fluffy Duffy, wearing his orange classic hat.
It's been my twin brother, Nalra.
Nalra,
Mm-hmm.
Wyfud. I don't know why your twin brother has a different last name to you, but that's the way it is. So
Wife hood.
talk me through the thinking process. What made you put on the hat again when you recently readorned it?
Well, if I'm being honest with you, I've been trying it on maybe like every other day,
And then you're
being
like,
like,
no, the
is my
hair
hair
isn't
long enough
right.
yet? Yep. And then I put it on one day and I was like, I think I can make this work.
So does that mean the time before you put it on last, you put it on and you thought, no, I need 2 days more hair growth for this to work, and then you took it
Just
back off,
about.
and then 2 days later you put it on and you looked at yourself in the mirror and you thought, perfect.
Essentially, it's a little bit still too short, but like it
Yeah,
gets the job done.
yeah. No, that it looks good. You know. Anyway, welcome back to
Okay.
the world's first podcast ever created, HD Movie Talk. The H stands for Harlan, the D stands for Dean. I feel like we should say that because I don't know, like we never say that, and people might just have never known that.
They just think it's all about me and like you're just here for some reason.
Harlan Duffy. Hey, I'm here because this is the DB podcast, baby. Uh that's
Doesn't have the
Dean's
same ring to
Beans.
it now,
I
does
don't know
it?
why I didn't go for my actual initials rather
Nobody
than
can know.
yeah, DB. Big up DB. Anyway, I'm just prolonging doing what we're here for.
Okay, so what we're talking about today
Yes.
is we watched the worst A24 movie,
Yes, supposedly.
technically. Because well, it's the worst on Rotten Tomatoes, but technically there's one under that. So technically there's a even worse one, but that isn't technically an A24 movie. It was just distributed by them.
What's the worst one?
I don't remember
That
what it's
it's
called.
like one word, isn't it?
I'm not sure. Let's
Because
see.
I think it's like slice or something like that. Harlan is having a look.
Um, you're taking a look.
I said Harlan taking a look, but I am also. Is it slice?
Oh, it might be. I have a limited memory, I think. But
Yeah.
anyways, so that's the video we're doing today. But I just felt like I should give a brief little update as to our last episode
Okay.
of where we watched the latest episode of Doctor Who. That was the first episode of Doctor Who I really watched,
Uh-huh.
and I made a promo for that video. I don't do promos that often, but I made a promo for this one,
Yeah.
and I received so much blowback from that
Really?
video, especially because I did not in the beginning of the video. I just said I'm starting Doctor Who, and I started with the latest episode. I never like it. Like I never said it was like for a bit for the podcast. I said that at the end of the 2 minute video,
Yeah, I
right at
remember
the very end.
when I watched the video, there were four comments on it. So I have not seen any of this because obviously,
I
like when you posted this video, I got a notification because I'm tagged in it. So I had no idea
read
that you were getting all this blowback. Was it just people saying you're stupid for starting there?
essentially as of the moment it has 152 comments, and it's just people being like, HC Joe said you started on the latest episode. I actually said that 100% correct. If you look at the thing, you can't see
Yeah,
it, but it
I've
said
opened
I
it up
didn't
now.
stutter. I didn't stutter.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, people are just upset with me because they don't understand why I did that, and
yeah,
my friends were irate. I got
really.
multiple text messages of just upset people. They're like, "You are an idiot.
No,
Why would you do
seriously.
that?"
Like, I don't know what like I don't know if I said this last week. I don't think I did, but I told this to you personally. Is that my mum was like, "Why are you making him watch that episode? That's a dumb thing to do." And I was like, I know it's a dumb thing to do, but I want to do it. I want to do it so bad.
So I just felt like that was an important little note to make.
Yeah. The real ones are the people that listen to this and know.
They are the real ones.
Yeah.
The real ones are the one that watched through that entire 2 minute video because that could not have been an easy video to get through.
Oh, I struggled sitting through that 2 minute long video, and I had already talked through the entire episode with you, and I knew all the background about you and Doctor Who. And I struggled. I was like, oh, I don't like this. Anyway, I don't think we've
The
even said
next
the name.
podcast we do, we have to watch something good
Yeah, we should.
because. But so let's okay.
A few ideas to share with you afterwards, but we haven't even said the name of the film we're talking about today.
Yes. Do you want to go?
It's called.
Do you want to say it?
The Revenge of the Green Dragons. Is that right?
I think so. It's like maybe it's Revenge of the Green Dragon or Revenge. I don't know, but you're basically right. I think you're 100% right. But
I like how all this research we do to sit down to do this podcast. We're like, the film we're talking about today is something Green Dragon, something Revenge.
So this movie came out pretty early in A24's.
Yep. Sorry to interrupt.
Career.
Revenge of the Green Dragons is the film's name.
Okay, so you were right, but just the letters are a little bit mixed up.
Yeah.
Wait, no. Did you say
I
the
said
Revenge
the
of Green
Revenge
Dragons?
Of the Green Dragons, and it's just Revenge of the Green Dragons. So I got it right.
Okay, that makes sense. Came out pretty early, A24's career. And I think the biggest marketing push that this movie had for it was that it was executive produced by Martin Scorsese.
Yeah. And I believe that's because Andrew La, I'm probably saying his name wrong, so I apologize. One of the directors.
Is that the writer and director?
Yeah. Directed
because he co-wrote the movie too.
Yeah. He directed Internal Affairs, which inspired is it The Departed from Scorsese?
Oh, really? So The Departed was essentially an American retelling.
I'll find you exactly what I read. So let me have a look. Here it is. So the first film Andrew La and Martin Scorsese officially worked on together after Andrew La's Infernal Affairs inspired Martin Scorsese's The Departed. So I don't know in what capacity it was inspired by. It might be like a whole English remake, American remake version. But yeah.
Because when I was watching the movie, the movie has a 13% in Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. That's the critic score. The audience score is 30%, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I was interested to see what the critics' main gripes with it were. And the first main one was that it was essentially just trying to be an Asian Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Like that's what the critics were saying. And that there was a lot of blatant stereotypes.
Yeah.
In the movie. So that's because when I was watching it, I was because I'm a white dude. I don't really know what a crime underworld is like, let alone Asian immigration culture.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, I was like, is this offensive? Like, I was still pretty unsure. And so I went to look up the writers and directors, and I believe the movie's co-directed by a white dude, and then Andrew.
Yeah, whatever his last. Lau. I don't know how you say that.
Lau, I think. That's
yeah.
But and then it was co-written by two white dudes and Andrew Lau.
Yeah.
So maybe, but it's not like behind the camera. It's all a bunch of white dudes. So I'm still not quite sure if it's super stereotypical, but
none of that's really what my issues here are. Should we? How about you tell us the general plot of this thing, because I'm sure most people listening haven't seen this, and then
so
we'll get into the nitty-gritty.
The general, I'm not going to remember able to remember. It's Steven and Sunny. Those are the two names,
Yeah, yeah,
two main characters.
yeah.
So, there's a bunch of these Chinese immigrants who come into Queens in New York, and there are all these gangs, but uh, um, Sunny and Steven end up being a part of the Green Dragons, because Steven has to go to the bathroom, and then he runs into the bathroom where there's green dragons, and then he has to poop on somebody's face. It's wild. The beginning part of this movie is just insane,
It's
but
awful, but yeah.
whatever. And then they grow up, and then basically they have to do all these crime things. They have to kill people. They have to, sell drugs. But then Steven, who is a kid who had to take a poop on somebody's face, ends up being a little bit of a firecracker, and he starts getting everybody into trouble. He almost dies, but his bullet wounds heal faster than Wolverine. And then there's a love interest for Sonny's the main character. Um, and he kind of has to deal with all of his brother's wrongdoings. And then who's like their father figure
I
that never
remember
ages?
the names.
I don't know. I'm surprised I remember the main character's name, if I'm being
I
completely honest.
remember Sunny is the one I
Um,
remember.
um, and so the love interest rats them out because Steven accidentally killed a white dude, and you're not supposed to kill white dudes. Um, and then the girlfriend dies, and then I haven't even. Oh my god, I haven't even mentioned Ray Liotta's in this movie,
Yeah.
and I feel like it was sort of a Bruce Willis sort of situation.
What, when he comes in and films for like 3 days and then
Yeah, they pay him out $1 million, and then he just leaves.
yeah.
Um, and so during all of this, while um Steven's killing people, they go to court. Steven dies. Like all this happened, but there's also this subplot of the FBI and police. And Ray Liotta is the FBI agent. He's trying to crack down on the Green Dragons because the Green Dragons are getting out of control. Um, and then there are these two detectives, an Asian detective who grew up around these streets and just an idiot. I think that's supposed to imply. Well, it definitely is implied by the end.
Yeah.
Um, and then spoiler alert, at the very end, the father figure who ordered the hit of Steven and killed Sonny's girlfriend is confronted by Sonny. And Sonny almost pulls the trigger to shoot his father figure, but then the Asian cop comes in and kills Sonny. And that's the end of the movie.
What a film.
How scatterbrained was that summary?
I mean, that made as much sense to me as the plot of this film did.
Okay. Well, then I think for not writing it down, I don't think I did too bad.
You did well for a film I thoroughly disliked. Like, as a general rule, I don't know if you would disagree with this. Actually, I'm about to start disagreeing with this because I'm not 100% sure if I agree with what I'm about to say. But I feel like you dislike films easier than I will.
Depends.
Yeah, because I said that and I was like, well, no, but if there's a new film that comes out, I'm normally the one on the slightly dislike side compared to you.
I don't it Well, here's the thing. If a movie's outrageously bad,
Mm-hmm.
like I think Batman and Robin is our prime example,
Yeah, Batman and
right?
Robin,
You
Super
love
Mario
Batman and
Bros, Cat
Robin.
and Hat.
I hate it.
Yeah.
But a movie like this, I don't think is like horrendously awful.
No, it's not. It's
Like
not
this
fun.
was watchable,
Hmm.
barely, but not like Batman and Robin, where it's just like this is
Yeah,
like
I want to take back what I said about
worse
Cat
than
and Hat
death.
because that's a genuinely great film and we came to that conclusion together.
Yes, we did. Cat in the Hat is an amazing movie,
It's so
and
good.
it's Mike
But
Myers' best film.
what I was trying to say, I sorry, that was my sound bar turning off. I feel like if we went through every film we've done for the Silver Lining, I feel like, and then we both rated them out of 10. I feel like my number would be higher than your number. on average.
Yeah, definitely.
But this
I
film,
believe I agree with that.
I just there was like if I'm watching Batman and Robin, I'm engaged the entire time. You know, I don't lose
Mm,
focus on the film because it's so bananas, and I'm like, what on earth is going on? I don't know if you'd agree with this, but I watched this film, and it's just the dullest crap in the world. Like somehow it's
it's
like
very boring.
it's incredibly annoying and bad, and like in some ways it's funny, but then just like I couldn't pay attention to it for longer than 30 seconds at a time without having me like, all right, and then snapping back to it.
You know what? The only good thing about this movie is that it's barely even 90 minutes long.
That is the best thing. If this was 2 hours
It's a
long, I don't think.
short movie.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
it was just it was no good. But what didn't you like about the film specifically? If it's not the
I think
Asian appropriation or what or the
the number, like, I think one of the biggest things to weigh down this movie is just the acting.
yeah,
There's some pretty horrendous acting in this movie,
yeah,
especially like it's kind of hard for me to um criticize line delivery in a language I'm not familiar with.
yes.
But when they kind of do flip in between uh English and what was the language they spoke in
I
this
would
movie?
imagine it's Mandarin because they're Chinese.
No, wasn't it like Cantonese or something?
Oh,
Like
okay, yeah, sure.
it's because they said it in the movie that there's like multiple languages, but I
Yeah,
forget which one it is specifically. But when they flip to English, it's supposed to give off the impression that um like they're very fluent in it, but it comes off as like they memorize that, like they don't speak that language and they just memorize the words. It's that
yeah,
I know they don't, because there is a guy Sonny is the guy who plays Sonny is also one of like Bella's friends in
in
Twilight.
Twilight.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen all the Twilight movies?
I've seen a couple of them in the cinema, Arlen.
You watched them in theaters?
The last, I think it was only the last one actually. I think it was only Breaking Dawn Part 2 I watched in the cinema.
Oh, so
If yeah,
why?
well, no, it was because
Were
my
you trying to impress a girl,
no,
or
it
you
was because
just wanted to see it?
it was because my mum and sisters and Nan were all going to watch it, and then like they invited me, and I was like, yeah, I'll come, whatever.
Okay, that's fine.
The woman I was trying to
It's
impress was
not
my
the
mum.
movies aren't actually the movies are pretty bad.
Yeah, not as bad as this
That's
film.
not what we're talking about today. Nope. Okay, I'm the thing. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on the opening of this movie.
Do you want to know what my favorite part of this film is? Which is like probably first 20 minutes, I think.
What?
Do you remember the bit where they introduce the gangs?
Yeah.
It's so in this, they have a lot of bold editing choices in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And normally
For sure.
that's the kind of thing I would be a fan of, even when it's a little bit silly. Here I'm not a fan
Mm-hmm.
of it. So basically what happens is there's what, like five gangs in Queens or something like that. Um
Yeah.
and then and like the whole intro, like the first is being narrated by by Sonny. And then he's going through each gang and like saying a bit about them. And then he goes, there are the white dragons. They're gay. And then there's this gang and they're shitheads. And then there's this gang. They're losers. And every time it cuts to a picture of just a row of just Asian men walking through the street, and then it suddenly freeze frames and goes black and white, like while they're walking, and then it will cut to the next gang, and then he goes, finally, we're the Green Dragons, and we're cool, and then they just start shooting their guns at the camera, and then it freeze frames, and I'm like, yeah, you guys seem so cool compared to those, you know, losers of other gangs. I can't even remember
Idiots.
because there's like six or seven, like 5 to 7 gangs, I can't remember, and he chooses a different insult for each of them, and we get like
Mm-hmm.
two in, and I'm like, and like I can't remember the first one. the second one was a slur for gay people, and then I was like, wow, these are quite
Yes.
harsh, and I was like, I don't know how they're going to keep this up for each gang. And then they came up with a new insult for each gang, but by the end they just called the last gang losers, and I was like, oh well, you really got them. I was like, they can't sustain these like a unique insult for all these gangs.
So the part that stuck out to me the most in the intro
Yeah,
is just like they just berate children.
yeah,
I know it's a movie, so it's not real,
yeah,
but I was still like, wow, that was a bold choice. And so like I the guy who plays like the mentor figure,
yeah.
he looks familiar to me. And I don't
I'm
know
not
what he's
sure.
from.
Yeah,
But I was expecting him to be played by a different actor once they got to the like modern day, but
yeah,
that's not what happened.
yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to figure out the actor that I recognize. Harry Shum Jr. Mosian. No, would have known from that. Would have known from that. Come on. Oh, he was in everything everywhere. He was Rakakuni guy.
Oh, he's
Or
Rakakuni. What a
yeah, so um yeah, so I was like, oh, it's fun little appearance, but I'm sure he'll be replaced by somebody. They don't the only actors that age in this movie are Sonny and Steven,
yeah.
which I
No
thought
one
was an
else does.
interesting choice.
Hmm. Which is fine. If this was a better film, you'd be like, oh, it's a small budget. They don't want to recast people, blah, blah, blah. You know?
Right, but it was just a little bit like, oh,
Yeah.
that's because it also like it loses a little. I do think it comes at the expense of the story because you're supposed to believe this is a father figure, but at the end, it's just like it looks like they're just like two friends,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
and but whatever. Um,
I think this film quite badly, and I don't want to be that guy. This is going to make me sound like an old man. I think this film quite badly glorifies violence.
it does.
And I
No, I
don't
agree
know,
with you
I
because
can't even think of another film I've watched when I've been a bit like, oh, I don't like this because it's like glorifying it. I can't, you know, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say because I don't know. It kind of doesn't make it feel like very real. I've got one specific example I'll get to in a second, which is also in this intro. But like I'm trying to just I don't know what it is because I'll watch films like John Wick or whatever and I won't have an issue with it. But then something like this, there's the scene in particular is in the opening. Um, it's like, oh, they talk through how you're supposed to kill someone, and then like, yeah, whatever. And they're like, and now, and it was the first time I killed someone. I was like 10 years old, or however old this kid is supposed to be. And he walks
hmm,
into a room and he just shoots a man a few times. And like, and the entire time I'm watching this, I'm like, oh no, this what an awful thing, blah blah blah. This is like such a traumatic thing. And in any other film, I feel like this would be framed so differently. But in this particular film, the entire sequence is just backed by the sickest electric guitar riff you've ever heard in your life. It's like,
I
and he walks in and he just shoots a guy.
like it. At no point is well, there are like two important deaths,
Yeah,
right? And like I don't know, like when you're okay, so like I'm not a fan of the violence in this movie either. I think for me personally, the main part where I'm like, are you sure about that? Is when Steven gets shot 3 times in the chest
yeah,
and is in a coma for one scene and then is back
and he's fine.
fully healed.
Yeah,
Like I think for me that's the main point where I'm like, well, none of this is serious. Because I thought Steven was gonna be out the entire rest of the movie.
yeah,
And it just kind of skips ahead. But when trying to like you mentioned John Wick, Because like John Wick, he just goes around killing people, and if anything, that movie, it has more over the top, non-serious violence than this movie.
Yeah,
But for that movie, it's fine, and I think it might be because of the established tone.
that's
Like
true.
this movie does feel it's trying to make you feel very grounded. It's very raw. There's a lot of smoke and Dutch angles and you
Yeah.
know running gun sort of like
And freeze
following people.
frames when things go black and white.
Yeah, the only time I didn't mind the freeze frames was the shootout when Steven gets shot.
Yeah.
And that's only because like I was able to be like, oh, that's Steven, like right when because if it was just real quick, but I don't know. That's the
Yeah.
only time I liked it.
Yeah. Fair enough points. Just I don't know.
Um,
I don't feel that this film just really like I was struggling to stay interested in it. Which is like
I
so
think
much harder also when like a portion of the film is subtitles because then I have to like actively be focusing 100% on the screen.
how do you feel about the love interest? 'Cause I think that's what slowed down the movie the most.
Yeah, I think it's a little. I don't like the intro scene for that. Like it did feel like
Well,
very
because
cliche
like
of being like, oh, I don't date someone in this gang.
right, that's what the state. It's sort of a very stereotypical love story thing, but I had you get into the common thing if it's just like the woman in the story is just a plot device. What is the phrase called? Like the
Fringing.
test?
Oh, oh, the Bechdel test.
Yeah,
Bechdel. It's spelled
this
Bechdel.
this
It's Bechdel.
this movie does not pass that test.
Yeah.
Um, and when spoiler alert, when the girlfriend dies, I felt no, I knew it was coming.
Mm.
There was no way that because the entire idea is Sonny, his girlfriend is about to testify against all the green dragons, and Sonny comes in, and Sonny's like, "Yo, my love, rat everybody out, demand witness protection. This is what needs to happen," and that's what they do. But she doesn't get into witness protection, and she dies. Or does she get into witness protection? They still find her.
I don't know. She dies.
I don't know either. She dies, and Sonny's very sad.
She did.
Um, how do you feel about the twist at the end?
Talk the viewers through the twist.
So, uh, this Asian cop, I forget his name,
Mm-hmm.
he meets with the mentor figure because he brings him in to investigate. I don't know.
Yeah.
They have a talk, and it's they say like something like, "Do I know you? Have we met before?" And it's weird, but then they drop and they continue on the rest of the movie, and then at the very end, the detective kills Sonny right before Sonny kills the mentor.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be this big, like, oh my gosh, no way, he was working with him the entire time. But it doesn't work for me.
It just yeah,
And
I
this,
was kind of more confused than shocked when I was kind of like, oh wait, okay, yeah, sure. You know,
but like, why doesn't the detective say anything when they're alone in a private
you're
room?
100% right. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It's a bit silly.
And why would the detective have followed him to Hong Kong? Because that's where they like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Because after filling you in again, after the mentor has Sonny's girlfriend killed, the mentor leaves. Like he goes back to China
Yeah.
because he knows like, oh, Sonny isn't gonna like this. So
It's not a very good film.
it is not a good film.
It's
So
not. I did not hit her.
interested to see
what you're interested in seeing.
What movie came out after this?
Uh, Avengers Endgame came out after this. Uh,
Oh,
Baby Driver came out after this.
oh
Uh,
really?
Trolls came out after this. The Emoji Movie came out after this. Do you want me to list more films that came out after this film?
So there was two movies that came out after this: Son of a Gun with Ewan McGregor and A Most Violent Year with Oscar Isaac. But after that, in the same year, Revenge of the Green Dragons came out. Ex Machina came out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's kind of before the brand had been established. What's so funny?
I sneezed.
That was not a sneeze, you silly boy.
I muted myself for
Yeah, but you went a it sounded like a little giggle to me.
oh no. Well, you said before the brand A24 had been established, and I went, and then I was like, oh yeah, you're right.
Oh, okay. So you did make it see this guy trying to convince me he ain't making any noises.
You know me, I just can't help but lie about my noises. Anyways, um, yeah, so it's interesting how different movies
A24 is
A24
now.
was, because I think it's really once Moonlight, because I made a video about this, but then I realized I couldn't really post it. But um once Moonlight came out, A24 was just nonstop hits for a
Yeah.
while. Um, but yeah, this movie was not good. I'm really interested as to why Ray Liotta did it. Ray Liotta definitely did it because it was executive produced by Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Like if I had to place my bets in like why he did this, it was probably that.
He could have been a fan of the more prolific of the two directors. Who knows?
Maybe. Um, I was, you know, I was very. It was interesting how there was like one of the messages of this movie was like, well, Ray Liotta's character specifically states that like a lot of these new immigrants are bad. The Irish are bad, and these people are bad.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Like that was
Yeah.
an interesting when that was said, I was like, oh, I have to see if this movie was written by a bunch of white dudes because that
It's
seemed
interesting
so
that
tone
Ray
deaf.
Liotta just went off script like that.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, Race, this is not an improv movie. This is art, okay?
Sorry.
Um,
I made myself
so
giggle a little bit.
you might have to cut this out or maybe not. Are we fixing this movie? Or are
I
we
was
just talking
so
about the worst
we won't cut
A24
this
movie?
out because I want to talk about this with you. This when we were messaging about this, we were like, maybe we could silver lining it. I don't want a silver lining this film because
Me,
like
because
like it
you know
at
what
the
we
bare
do?
bones, there's not like a single level of this film which interests me.
Yeah, like literally it's just a
Literally,
poorly made Goodfellas,
yeah.
but instead of Italians, it's Asians.
So my question to you would be, if they made a better version of this film about a different race of people, what would it sound like?
Not to say that it would be better if it was a different race. It just happens to be a better movie with a different race.
Yeah.
It would probably sound a little bit like um never mix the shit with the chocolato.
Never ask me about my business.
Funny
But
how.
genuine question. This film would be not genuine statement. This film would have been a lot more enjoyable if everyone spoke like that.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I know how to fix this movie.
Okay.
Have you ever seen the House of Gucci?
Yeah.
So you replace the main character of Sonny with Paolo Gucci,
Yeah.
okay? And then hear me out.
Yeah.
You take the Steven character
Yeah.
and you replace that character
Yeah.
with Paolo Gucci. And then you do that with the rest of the cast.
Yeah. I have a genuine question for you. Can you name any
Yeah,
other character from that film?
there's Sonny and Steven,
No, no, from House of Gucci, can you name any other character?
Lady Gaga.
Isn't it funny that we've just got the name Paolo Gucci ingrained in our brain? But we're like, Gucci.
You know, if I had never met you, I would not have that I would not have that ingrained in my
If you had
brain. That
never
is
met
specific.
me, you would not have thought about House of Gucci since you left the cinema after watching House of
Never
Gucci.
once.
I
Maybe like once in a
think about the
while.
film itself.
Boof.
Both. Both.
Boof. Yeah.
We're really trying to avoid talk about this film.
Well, what else is there to talk about?
It's so dull.
It's so dull. They really do try to go for an interesting look for this movie. I'll give
Yeah.
it that. Like it's unique looking.
Do you mean crap?
No, like what movie does this? It gives off like
If
the
I like
vibe of an
went
80s movie.
upstairs and did a poo and took out my phone and filmed a TikTok of my poo in the toilet, you could watch that TikTok and go, "Wow, I've never seen a TikTok that looks like this before," which
Wow,
is
what a
like,
unique TikTok.
which is true. You're like, "Oh, what a unique TikTok," but it's still a poo.
Yeah.
You know, like it's short, it's
But what
going
if
for
you
something.
what if you freeze framed on it?
I like no, I respect the film for going for a style because I would rather it go for a really bad style than be nothing.
And then you go, wait, so what you do is you freeze frame it, it goes black to white, and then you just go like, look, there's my poo. What a piece of shit. And then that's the first video. What a loser.
I can't even remember any of the other insults. I remember the rude one. I remember shitheads,
The
and I remember losers. And I'm like, wow, there's no way he's going to sustain this, and he did.
um so what would you give this movie out of 10?
Or like a 3, 2.
Maybe I give it maybe a 3.5
Mm, yeah,
because they're definitely like it wasn't a passionate less film.
yeah.
They definitely tried to make it good.
Oh, trust me, when I did that poo, I was really passionately pushing that out.
Okay, well, you know what
No,
I
I know what
mean.
you mean. I know
You
what
know
you mean.
what? But hey, you know, everything's got to be ranked. Maybe if it's a good poo, and you get like a 5 out of 10.
Oh, I've some of my poos have been easily 7 out of 10.
I respect that. Anyways, I give it a 3.5 out of 10.
No, I
You
get
said a
what you
three,
mean
maybe a
because
2 out of
there's
10.
like it's a like this is a director driven project, and I'd rather this, which
Yeah,
is like a director driven project, compared to something like Space Jam: A New Legacy, which is just absolute corporate big studio
yeah.
sludge. You know,
If you had to rewatch one of these again, what would it be?
I think I'd enjoy Space Jam a bit more because it's kind of like it's silly dumb. You know, like I'd be like,
Mm.
oh, I'm watching the Porky Pig rap. You know, it's a bit of The granny is doing the Matrix for the third time.
I
Michael B.
didn't
Jordan.
enjoy that movie.
Hmm?
That's the best joke out of that entire movie.
The Michael B. Jordan one.
Yeah.
I think it's the rap.
No.
I must have told you so many
No,
times
no,
about
no,
my
no.
experience with that rap.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, the genuine terror I felt in the lead up to
All right. Is that all we have to say about this awful movie?
it.
Is this going to be our shortest podcast
It's going to be on the
within the
short
past
side. I
year?
just I don't think there's much to say. It's not very good.
We did it though. We watched the worst A24 movie, so you don't have to.
Or maybe you still can.
You can. You got to rent it though, unless you have Cinemax
Oh yeah,
in
did you?
America.
How
You can
much did
watch
you have to
this.
pay for this bad boy?
$4.
Okay, I'm going to convert that to pounds so I know who spent more. Oh, I spent more on this film.
Wait, can you convert how much you spent to
I spent
dollars?
4.45 dollars,
Which is how much in
3.49 pounds.
and how much did I spend in pounds?
You spent 3.14.
Oh.
You spent pi pounds.
Technically, I didn't.
Oh
3.1415?
yeah, 3.14159.6. That's all I know.
2?
Yeah, I feel
I think
like
it's
it
a
was a
2
two.
after
I
that.
want to say two.
I think it's like then it's like 204. Wow, we are really stretching out this podcast. I was about to look up pi.
I'm
And we
not
were just
looking it
gonna
up.
go
I'm
through
not
that and
stupid that low. I feel
argue.
like if we've done with things to talk about, we're ending it. I'm googling pi while saying all this. 3.141592.6. 5, 3, 5, 8, 9, 7, 9, 3, 2, 3, 8, 4, 6, 2, 6, 4, 3, 3, 8, 8, 4, 1, 9, 7, 1, 6, 9, 3, 9, 3, 7, 5. Adios.
No. I think that's for the end of the podcast.
Bye.
Bye.